All right. Hello, hello. Today we have Andrew coming to us, and we are going to go over some of the successes that he's had in our time together over the last like 3 to 4 months. Has been phenomenal. And I wanted to invite him on to share a couple of the gems that he's gotten out of our work together. He's a sales guy. He hustles every day. He's got bigger plans of moving into his own business as well, and taking care of his health is obviously translated into just better ability to manage everything in his normal day-to-day activities and stuff. So, Andrew, let's jump in and tell me, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, you said it pretty well. So I do sales. I sell cars, which can be a pretty demanding job. I'm usually pretty busy throughout the entire day. My work schedules aren't very exact on like 9 to 5. It's just I get off when I get off, and sometimes that leads into kind of just making some pretty poor eating choices. My big thing is just convenience and stuff like that, and so with that, I would get home after not eating the entire day and just kind of overindulge and stuff like that. So I started putting on weight for quite a while. Got up to 298 pounds. Didn't quite cross that
Head on the
300 pound
cusp, like no
threshold.
way.
um, but yeah, that's primarily me. I'm 25 years old. I, you know, that was kind of my big struggle is I do really want to create a business, but it was just like finding the energy to really do anything outside of what I'm doing now was very difficult. Um yeah, so that's me, overweight, and then kind of reached out to you because I had tried so many things already. I think my biggest struggle was just finding like the right route. There's so much misinformation out there of kind of like what to eat and where to eat. So I wanted some better guidance, and that's kind of where you came in, and we're kind of how I found you. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what brought us together is I can't tell you how many times we all just there's so much misinformation, a lot of confusion, a lot of different ways to go about it. And one of the things that we did was identify your unique situation and then strategize science-backed information, implement it into your everyday in the easiest way possible. And you kept showing up week after week, just dropping pounds. I knew you had a busy schedule. I knew that you're a single guy. I knew that there's a lot of things that were going on that we needed to manage so that you could be effective and efficient and not just go to work and run and gun all day and then all of a sudden like donuts show up in the break room and you're like, well, I haven't eaten anything all day, so I'm gonna eat this, and then that just leads to bad downfall. So what were some of the results? So we got 298 when you started. Where are you at this moment in time, about what, 3 to 4 months later?
3 to 4 months later, so I pretty much progressively was, off the very bat, is kind of quick progress, and then since then it's been a little bit slower. But after that, I've lost a total of about 38 pounds, so I'm about 260 currently.
Right.
So
His
two more pounds
idea
to go
of
till I get to 40. Yeah, it
Yeah, your
fluctuates a
idea of
little bit.
slowing down and what real life process looks like, you're crushing
Yeah.
it. So, that's one thing I always have to like temper people's ideas of what weight loss actually is. It's 1, 2, possibly 3 pounds a week, 4 or more, where we might be overreaching, and you really have to pay attention to that so that you're not like the expectation is not 5 pounds a week. That is not real life. That's not reality. And it's unfortunately people come to me in not the best positions and they want to get out of it quickly, which I totally understand. But how many years did it take to get the weight on? And it's not going to take 3 weeks to 3 months to drop it all the way back off. So plus, if you drop weight that fast, you probably wouldn't look that great when you get to the end zone.
Uh,
A lot of potential for saggy skin and different things that you're like, yeah, what the heck? I was hoping everything just tighten up over time. So we're implementing so you've been really, really well. Well, how do you see that in your body? like the results? So where's it impacting you the most?
So primarily, I had like a pretty big gut. I'll stand up, but it was, it would come out to about here.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know if you can see my hand, but like the gut was very round on both sides, and definitely like kind of had a much bigger love handles. So that was one thing I would say. After about a couple months, I really started seeing a lot of people at my job kind of notice, and they're like, "Man, have you been losing weight? Like you look pretty good." And really getting those compliments is pretty nice. So like that's where, because I think there's somewhat of a, especially for people that have been larger, because I've been pretty big like most of my life. So I think if you've been in that scenario, then you kind of build up like this body dysmorphia of like, am I really losing the weight? You look at yourself every day, so you don't see the change, but when you hear it from other people, it's very reassuring. So that's kind of one thing, and then just having the consistency. Like the thing is like the scale doesn't lie. So even if I look at myself and I don't see a crazy huge change, if I look at the scale, I see that number dropping like every couple weeks. I know that at least we're making progress there.
And we've had very consistent progress. It's the here's the other thing is that we're assessing the life that you live, right?
Mm.
And actually trying to troubleshoot, problem solve, create solutions in those situations. So your unique lifestyle, food choices, behaviors around food, all these things are things that we're trying to identify with you so that as we move on, you're like, oh, like every time I drive McDonald's, I don't have to like swing into the Golden Arches or something as an example. You didn't do that, but that those are things that people do, right? Because of marketing and advertising, and they're everywhere, and it's really easy to fall into this fast food being convenient. But we were able to create ways where you actually ate healthier meals more conveniently. Even just packing your lunch and taking it to work was a very effective strategy, and enjoy what you ate. What were some of the things that motivated you around reaching out? Like, how was like the almost 300 pounds, like energy? Like, how were those things starting to affect you in day to day life?
Well, I mean, so like one thing that I noticed where it was kind of like a cutoff, because I think I started kind of putting weight on very quickly. Like like I said, I've always been pretty heavy, but remained around like around like 275 pounds. But then between 275 and getting close to that 300, I think that happened within just like a couple of months. So it was just like, I would get home extremely exhausted, kind of went towards food mainly as like as a stimulant, as opposed to a fuel for my body. So just something to kind of get my mind off of things, and I would just overeat and overeat. And so it was really affecting me just kind of mentally, because if you tell yourself like, oh, I'm going to lose the weight, oh, I'm going to go to the gym on Monday, or I'm going to start tomorrow, like constantly saying that to yourself and then not pulling through with it, it's kind of like it's just like lying to yourself, you know what I mean? And then you lose trust in yourself. You kind of start to spiral out of like a solid mental state. So mentally it was getting pretty tough for me. But you know and in definitely physically too, like getting very winded. My thing was I always would take two stairs. When I was going upstairs, I would do two stairs at a time.
Right.
um and I think there's like maybe something to that. Is like I didn't want to jiggle as much as I'm going up the stairs, but towards the end there, like it was getting very hard to do that, and that's when I noticed. I'm like, oh man, I'm pretty out of shape. So that's really where it started affecting me negatively, I would say.
Especially, how about in like work, like if you're in sales or
Mhm.
even like moving towards some of your dream goals of a business owner and stuff, how is your body, your health, your energy, or lack thereof affecting those areas?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely negatively impacting it for sure. I mean, the biggest thing is for sales, I've got to walk pretty far to grab a car. By the time I get back, I'm trying to talk to these customers, and I'm like physically breathing super heavy, sweating like crazy, and it's only just a walk down the parking lot to go grab another car and type stuff. So in a sense, it's almost, it kind of gets you there because now you're like now I was at that point, I was getting pretty self-conscious of like, oh man, like look at me, I'm winded and I'm sweating like crazy. It probably, I don't know, your brain kind of goes to different routes. But yeah, it was definitely getting harder to do kind of the more simple things. And then same thing with sales, like you want to be in a pretty good headspace, you want to be confident. And that one, you know, I probably could have done better if I was in better shape.
Right.
you
No,
know.
being in obviously sales and helping people. I've been selling fitness for 20. Yeah, if we want to rewind all the way back, I was selling my ab class back in like 2001, 2002. Hey, you on
Mm,
the treadmill, I'm Brian. I got this awesome ab class. It's starting in about 5 minutes. I know you would love it. You should just come check it out. Like that was the beginning
mhm,
of all this craziness and stuff. So, but you need to have confidence. You need to have energy. You need to act like you know what you're doing,
mm.
right? And
Yeah,
like in the situation, like you grab a car and come back and continue the conversation with these people, like that. This is not, confidence is not just oozing out of you, and you want to close the deal. You want them to be happy and be a nice experience. So, what
yeah.
really made this approach that we did together, the coaching, the nutrition, the understanding how to put into a sustainable lifestyle, what made it different for you than anything else that you tried?
So, I mean, really, I think what made it different was the fact that I didn't have to feel like I was like, obviously there's going to be some sacrifices in the way that like you're not going to like if you really enjoy
You
already
don't want
eating
like
like
pizza
specific.
every night, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Like there are going to be some sacrifices in certain ways, but it was really more just understanding that like because I think my idea that I had of losing weight was that I had to go on this diet where I'm starving and, I don't like the food very much that I'm eating. And that's really how it's been in the past of like, you know, I had a pretty good weight loss spout in the past, and that's when I ate completely plant-based. But that was just very hard for me to maintain, hence why, I had ended up putting the weight back on. And so with this method, it was just very easy because I realized that I can eat a lot more than I had thought that I could. It's just making those correct decisions. And also it kind of does something weird to your body where you like once you start to eat like those healthier foods and you really start to develop a palate for it to where like those healthier foods taste a lot better. I think
Not
even
drowning it
towards
in sugar or salt or
Greece,
fat,
yeah.
butter, right?
Mhm.
Someone
Yeah, yeah.
once said, "Is like Brian, a sweet potato is actually sweet." Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
go figure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, just being able to kind of eat the things that I want and, it really kind of opened my eyes as to being more creative in the kitchen and kind of putting certain things together that make flavors that you may crave, but are way better options for you, things that are going to be in kind of the calorie goals that you're looking for.
Exactly. And
Mm,
you brought a lot to the table. One was like we would have some texts about different meals out, like on the go, or like if you had to pick something up after a really long day because of whatever situation, and so we were able to problem solve, troubleshoot, and get you a good option in that situation and get out. But also, you came a lot of like, hey, what do you think about this meal or this recipe or this type of option? And we were able to find some really enjoyable, delicious recipes and things that substituted that were like half the calories of the normal thing, but tasted just the same. And that's a
mhm,
huge win because you started getting resourceful. Like, okay, Brian's taught me nutrition. He's taught me the concepts, the understanding the idea, and he's getting me to understand how to apply it, how to get resourceful, how to find answers and troubleshoot and all that. And that's where we're at today. There's a reason why you're down like 40 pounds is because you understand more than hey, I'm just going to follow whatever's on this piece of paper and eat these foods and stuff.
Mhm.
That was really good. Now, certainly we still have a little ways to go, but where's your confidence level at in getting to your end goal?
It's definitely a lot more improved. I think the energy was the big thing. Because I would tell myself like, oh, I don't have time in the day. But like once you start making those kind of more conscious decisions, it just kind of spirals into a more and more better decisions. So like, I started implementing the gym, and then once you get into the gym, then it's like, oh well, I need to clean when I get home, which things these are all things that I would just kind of leave on the back burner before. Waking up at, I mean, not every day, but most of the days I tend to wake up around 4:35, so that way I can kind of get my hour of studying in for the business that I'm working on building, and then go into the gym before work, whereas previously it's like, oh, I just don't have time,
Yeah, hit the
and
snooze button, and then you
yeah.
don't get any time to study and progress yourself forward, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And so, just understanding that, like, yes, I do have time. I mean, there's 24 hours in the day. Maybe I am at work or driving to work because I live a far away from my work. Maybe I am at work or driving to work for 10 hours of the day, but where does that other, I know I'm sleeping for 6, but still there's a window there that I can do a lot of things, and just rather than kind of sulking and taking that time to just eat while I'm watching TV or scrolling through social media, just making overall better decisions and just kind of taking next step after next step.
Right. Totally. And some those are two areas. One, time management that you hit on. Those are things that we address on a regular basis to call you
Mm,
out like better. Of course, like nutrition or fitness, like when are we actually scheduling time to do something? How are we planning? How are we grocery shopping? How are we meal prepping? Like all those things are things that you have to do to keep yourself alive because you have to eat, but keep yourself
mm,
more importantly healthy. But like if you didn't have the energy, you can't get up at the hour that you do to do other more important things to progress you, not just feel stuck in the situation because that's the only thing you're doing and you're not actually setting aside time to progress yourself. So that's really,
mhm.
if someone were in your similar position as back when you started, they're on the cusp of like a big number or a health issue, or they're just feel their confidence is just not there. And I'm wondering if coaching is health coaching and all is right for them. What advice would you give them?
I would say, um, there's really no. It's hard to kind of put a number on like your overall health, you know what I mean? Like if you're in the position where I was in, where it's just like you're lost, like there's too much information. I don't, well, at the time I thought I didn't have time. I probably had the time to sift through all that information, but
A lot.
in that mental state, it's like, no, I don't have the time, you know what I mean? And if it's something that like you've tried this, you've tried that, you can't figure it out, then I think having that guidance is really important. Plus it just kind of gives you a shoulder, like a shoulder to lean on. Always having that accountability. I think that's important for a lot of people. Just because it's pretty easy for somebody to say no to themselves, but to say no to somebody else is a little bit more difficult. And just having that kind of constant, because you did really well as far as constantly updating. Like there were probably a couple days where I didn't text you or message you, and you're just like, hey, how's everything going? Where are we at? And I think that's pretty important because there were a couple times where I was like, getting ready to make a bad a bad decision as far as like what I'm eating, and then I just see your text come through, and
You're
I'm
like,
like,
oh,
yeah, I
Speaking
should
of
stick to what I was doing.
That's
Yeah.
right. Speaking of reserve. Yeah, we had weekly calls, we had lots of texts, we had a lot of engagement, and it was able to consistently see the metrics and the progress happening for you every step of the way. So we really knocked it out of the park. And I'm confident that you can continue on your path, just rinsing and repeating the same stuff again and again, because the concepts of nutrition are very simple. We're eating healthy proteins and fruits and vegetables and starchy carbs and healthy fats, and we're trying to find them in a way that's more suitable and applicable to you and your overall health. So you've been great, Andrew. I even you talk about leaning. Like, I ended up buying a car at the beginning of the year, and I was asking you questions, right? I'm like, hey man, I know
Yeah.
you do this, so is this a good deal? And I ran like 3 or 4 things past you after I narrowed it down, and you're like, yeah, that's a pretty good deal, man. I would jump on that, and so we ended up we got a mini
Mhm.
Cooper when it was all said and done. So it's been a lot of fun wheeling around in that, and a big change from my minivan life with 4 kids.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Very
yeah,
big change.
so yeah, I could have sifted through like countless YouTube videos and stuff, but you literally sell cars. So hey, what do I need to do, say, and what's a good value prop to ask for this offer and stuff? So I was able to really get that and make things happen. So all right,
Yeah,
dude. Well, we've done amazing. I really want to thank you so much for your hard work, your continued pushing effort, and the success that you've been able to create for yourself. So let's keep marching on, man. This is just the
absolutely.
beginning, and just you just keep updating and engaging and stuff. So thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much for
you,
your
and thank you
time.
for everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, as well.
thank you so much for your time today. And hey, if you need help, you can catch me on my website, brianparana.com. I'm pretty accessible through email, text, right? They're not too long, Andrew, that you've ever waited to get a response from me. So not even more than a couple
Mhm.
hours usually, unless it was overnight, obviously. I was asleep.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so you'll reach out if what Andrew says resonates with you, and you need to improve your health, improve your life, and add a bit more life to your years. So, hey, thank you so much. We'll catch
of
you
course.
around and catch everyone else. Thanks.
All righty, take care.